Hi, I'm Rahel Philipose and you are listening to Three Things, the Indian Express News Show. In this episode, we talk about the sudden crash in onion prices. We also give you an update on Manish Sisodia. But first, we talk about the 85th plenary session of the Congress. On Sunday, the Congress party concluded its 3-day national conclave in Raipur, where all the senior leaders of the party came together to build a roadmap for the 2024 Lok Sabha polls, which are just a year away. This plenary session was also an interesting one because it was happening after the recently concluded Bharat Jodo Yatra, in which Rahul Gandhi walked from Kanyakumari to Srinagar. So the question is, did the Yatra bring in new ideas for the party and really energize its cadre? In this segment, the Indian Express's Manoj CG, who writes on the Congress for the paper, joins us to answer these questions and to tell us how the party is looking to revive itself electorally. My colleague Utsa Sarmin speaks to him.
So Manoj, let's start with how the Bharat Jodo Yatra impacted this plenary session. Did it end up inspiring any new ideas?
Okay, the flavor of the 3-day plenary session, so to say, was the Bharat Jodo Yatra. Every leader who spoke there, including Mr. Rahul Gandhi, who out of his 50-minute speech, he spoke about his experience for around 25 minutes.
4 महीने कन्याकुमारी से श्रीनगर तक भारत जोड़ो यात्रा हमने की. वीडियो में आपने मेरा चेहरा देखा, मगर हमारे साथ लाखों लोग चले थे. हर स्टेट में चले.
And what is surprising is that the Congress seems to be hoping or banking everything on the Yatra. In the sense, this is a crucial election year. There are assembly elections coming up in 5 big states: Telangana, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Karnataka. Then Lok Sabha elections are just a year away. So if the party is hoping that the success of the Yatra or the message that the Yatra had sent, the party believes it has already, re-energized the cadre, reinvigorated the leadership and all. But if the party thinks the Yatra is the main idea with which it will go into the elections, maybe it's a bit surprising on that count. So the resolutions which were passed, the speeches which were made, there is this clear thread that the Yatra was a huge success and the party needs to build on that, sustain the momentum. So the Congress's 2024 preparations are heavily dependent on the Yatra which was concluded and the programs which the party is lining up.
Right, and when we spoke to you while the Yatra was going on, you had said that the Congress still lacks a strong narrative. So did the party address that issue in this plenary session?
If you go back to the 2019 Lok Sabha elections, the Congress's big narrative then was Rahul Gandhi's attack against the Prime Minister on the Rafale fighter jet deal. The mention of Chaukidar Chor hai, the mention of the Prime Minister's alleged links with Anil Ambani. So that was the centerpiece of the Congress attack.
आप यहाँ से जाएंगे किसी दुकानदार के पास जाइए कहिए चौकीदार कह रहे आप बेरोजगारियों के पास जाइए कहिए चौकीदार
And when it came to the manifesto promises, the centerpiece was Nyay, a minimum guarantee income scheme, and the rest of the promises followed. We are in 2023. The Lok Sabha election is just a year away. Look at the message which is coming out of the Congress. The centerpiece of its attack against the Prime Minister is his alleged proximity with industrialist Gautam Adani. So Adani has replaced Ambani. And the centerpiece again of the promises so far is Nyay and, a comprehensive social security scheme, universal right to health. So there are similarities. And Mr. Rahul Gandhi led the party into elections in 2019. And with the success of the Yatra, the very clear signal that is emerging from the Congress is that Rahul again will lead the party into elections. Although Mallikarjun Kharge is a Congress president, but Rahul will be at the forefront leading the campaign. So there's a striking similarity between 2019 and 2023. So this lack of a new narrative, which many of the leaders have been speaking about, the Yatra or the plenary has not given an out-of-the-box a new narrative in that sense. The Congress has spoken about drawing up a vision document for 2024 elections. the 6 resolutions which were passed on political, economic, international, social justice and empowerment, youth, agriculture, detailing the issues of farmers and all. So all those resolutions have promises here and there. So now they will have to put it all together into a vision document. And that perhaps will give us an indication of the narrative that the party is trying to create.
And Manoj, the other thing that has come out of the plenary session is that the Congress wants to build its own narrative around nationalism. And that becomes very important because the BJP has a strong narrative around nationalism. So what exactly is the Congress's plan when it comes to this?
On this issue of Chinese aggression, the repeated Chinese incursions at the border, the Congress perhaps see a chance in it to turn the tables on the BJP. So clearly the question is that why is the Indian government silent about these incursions? There is this one line in one of the resolutions which says the government should take all steps, any and all. It's not very clear what they meant by any and all, but the mention about any and all measures to defend the territorial integrity of India. So the nudge from the Congress is that telling the government that you do whatever you want, even if it means a military, it encompasses everything. So that is a line that the Congress is drawing now. On China, the government is not taking the country into confidence. The government is silent. The government is hiding something. That is one. Secondly, on the Adani issue also, there is an element of the nationalistic, the Congress style of nationalistic attack there, where Mr. Gandhi spoke about East India Company, drawing a parallel between Adani Group and East India Company, saying both East India Company and Adani Group is plundering the country, which is not in the interest of the nation. So there's a slight nuancing, but there is clearly an attempt to counter the government on this plank, which the BJP has been traditionally using to its electoral advantage.
And speaking of electoral advantages, the Congress has decided to refocus on the members of the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, and the minority voters, which were once a stronghold of the party, but it has lost their support lately. So how does the party plan to get their support again?
So if you look back in 2009, the Congress won 53 of the 131 reserved seats. It came down to 10 in 2019. So now there is a realization that since the BJP is making this Hindutva push because of Mr. Modi's mass appeal, which has penetrated across caste lines. So to say, the big picture is that the BJP has transcended the caste lines. It was once considered a Brahman Baniya party, an upper caste party, which now has made significant inroads into all sections. So the Congress will have to now, rework the strategy and go back again on talking about social justice, SC, ST, OBCs, minorities. So that is where the new formula is being worked out. Now, one of the main complaints was that the Congress doesn't have good SC or ST or OBC leaders. So now the party has decided to, reserve 50% of the positions in all committees, right from block committee, district, state to the CWC. The 50% of the posts will go to these 4 communities. So that will, the party believe, bring leaders into leadership roles at various levels. So that is as far as the party is concerned. The second is the set of promises that it is making, including, equal access to jobs in private sector, which is not talked about. The public sector, the reservation is very much in place, but in private sector also. About this Rohit Vemula Act to protect and safeguard, right to education and dignity of these communities. So the entire idea is to reach out to these communities, hoping that a large section would come back to the Congress, which of course will help in, its revival, its electoral chances. So there is now a targeted outreach, so to say.
And Manoj, another point that was discussed in this plenary meeting was about uniting the opposition against the BJP. Now, we saw a similar attempt in the last Lok Sabha elections as well, but that didn't come to fruition. And also many regional parties, they don't want Congress and especially Rahul Gandhi to be the leader of a united opposition. So how is the party thinking of handling those concerns?
It's a tricky terrain. When you talk about opposition unity, opposition coming together inside parliament to corner the government, demanding a discussion, voting against a bill, that is far more easier, that kind of unity. Outside parliament, in every state, the situation is different. Every party will fight the elections. it's easier for the regional parties, so to say, to talk about opposition unity. But for a party like the Congress, which has electoral stakes across the country, it becomes difficult to navigate this terrain. It's a tricky terrain. So from a messaging point of view, the plenary gave a clear message that the party is prepared to, work with like-minded parties on the basis of a common constructive program. But it's easier said than done. Even if we leave aside the prime ministerial candidate question, because most of the parties, including the Congress, know that that is an issue which can complicate matters. So leave aside that question. Question also can be set aside. But what about, say, a state like West Bengal, where Trinamool Congress would want to contest in all the seats and get as many seats as possible? Where will the Congress fit in there? In states where the Congress is the main force, will it allow other parties? Will it give seats to other parties? So on the ground, it's pretty difficult. The larger understanding among the Congress leaders is that the party is in alliance in, say, Maharashtra with NCP and Shiv Sena. Let that alliance continue. In Bihar with RJD and JDU, let that alliance continue. In Jharkhand with JMM. In Tamil Nadu with DMK. There is a coalition led by the Congress in Kerala. So let all that alliances continue. And in other states, say UP, Uttar Pradesh, or in Bengal, let all of us fight. Let Mamata fight. Let Congress fight. And let's see the results. Then talk about this coming together, stitching together a coalition after elections, because that's what happened in 2004. The UPA took shape after elections. So the signal that the Congress is giving is that let's create the mood. So let's create the mood where parties can come together. The groundwork, these lofty statements. Let's all work together. Let's or there should be a common program, constructive program, and all. Let's keep talking about that. But it will finally take shape after elections only. And you saw how the Congress found it difficult to welcome or condemn, Manish Sisodia's arrest in Delhi. It came on a date. The party spoke about, opposition coming together. So it is a tricky, difficult terrain with the Congress will have to navigate, and difficult especially for the Congress, because for the regional parties, it's not that difficult, but they will somehow negotiate. And I think for the next 1 year, we will keep on hearing about this Persian unity, parties coming together and all. But on the ground, I really doubt there will be a pan-Indian coalition taking shape.
But Manoj, to set the mood, I suppose these regional parties, they need to have some kind of confidence in the Congress. And going by the exit polls from Tripura, Meghalaya and Nagaland, it doesn't look good for the party in these northeastern states. And now soon 5 major states will go to the polls this year, which will be crucial for the party ahead of 2024.
It's very crucial for the Congress to, make an electoral impact, win some of these states, because out of these 5 states, the main force taking on the BJP in at least 4 states. JDS is it's a player, but it's a Congress versus the BJP in Karnataka. The same is the case in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh. It's only in Telangana where the Congress is now a marginal player, and it will be the BJP and the TRS will be, we can call it a very, triangular kind of contest. So the Congress will have to make an impact in at least some of these states, which they know very sure as well. Because that will only give the confidence in other parties to rally behind the Congress. Even, it will cast a shadow. If the Congress does very poorly, it will cast a shadow in seat negotiations, in Maharashtra, Bihar and all. The regional parties would say, no, the Congress, you're a baggage. You have not been winning. Why would we share so many seats with you? So winning some of these states this year will be key to the Congress's both chances for the 2024 and the relationship with regional parties, other parties, where Congress, if it emerges as a successful player in some of these elections, then that will give confidence and force other parties to take the Congress more seriously.
Right, and lastly, what do you think stood out the most to you in this plenary session?
The lack of a big message perhaps was the message. The talk was centered around Yatra, around Mr. Gautam Adani. So the organizational weaknesses of the party, there was little discussion or brainstorming into addressing the organizational weaknesses of the party. In every state, there are factional problems. There are factional issues. So you need to find ways to address that. This talk about we need to fight unitedly and is all good, but you need concrete steps to address organizational issues where in many states the party is not even visible. So all that was not discussed. So the 3-day plenary largely moved around the success of the Yatra and the allegations against Prime Minister Modi.
Next, we talk about the sudden crash in onion prices at India's largest wholesale market for onions. The Lasalgaon wholesale market is located in Nashik, Maharashtra, in a state that accounts for about 40% of the country's annual onion production. The market is the nucleus of this onion trade. But this week, it all came to a grinding halt when farmers launched a protest and suspended trade after onion prices dropped drastically. Since early February, onion prices have dropped from about 1,000 rupees per quintal to about 500 rupees per quintal. To understand why this happened, the Indian Express's Parthasarathi Biswas joins us in this segment. So Partha, before we get into why onion prices have crashed, could you tell us the significance of this particular market?
Lasalgaon market is located in the Nifat taluka of Nashik. Nashik is the onion belt of India. 3 districts, that is Pune, Ahmednagar and Nashik, which coincidentally lie side by side, are the biggest and the largest and most important onion growing districts of India. Lasalgaon's market is a price trend setter for the bulb, and on an average, reports are arrivals of 2,000 to 3,000 tons of onions per day. And Lasalgaon's market is famous because of the quality of onion it handles, the quantity of onion it handles, and it also is the focal point of the onion trade. Once the market opens and decides the price, that price trend is followed by other markets in the country. And also there are many exporters and many traders who operate in this market, and most of Lasalgaon's onion is, quite a bit of Lasalgaon's onion is also exported out of the country. So, like the market of Latur for soybean and tuar in Maharashtra, Lasalgaon is the one of the most important markets for onion in the country.
Okay, and now farmers have suspended trading at this market, right? So, what's the main reason behind that?
Okay, so what happened is on Monday, the farmers organization by the name of Maharashtra Onion Growers Association decided to protest against the low prices their produce was fetching at the market. Now, in an APMC, the price discovery is through open auction. Traders call out the price, and if the farmer decides that he or she is, mostly it's he, would like to sell their ware, it is the deal is finalized. So on Monday, since the middle of February onwards, prices are on a downward spiral. So for example, on February 9th, the price of the bulb was around 1,000 rupees a quintal, which translates to 10 rupees a kg. This is the price the farmers were getting for selling their onions. But the price started dipping from 9th of February, and on last week, the modal prices, that's the average traded price, was around rupees 551 to 575 per quintal, which translates to rupees 5 rupees to 5 rupees 51 to 5 rupees 75 paisa per kg. Farmers on Monday decided to protest and stop the auction. Without auction, the market cannot function. So there was that curtains had drawn for the auction of the onions in that market. So this low price and low realization was the main reason why farmers were protesting. And Bharat Digole, who heads the Onion Growers Association, said that they would intensify their protest in case the prices do not improve and the government does not get into the picture to improve the prices.
Right. And you mentioned how in an APMC or in a mandi, prices are determined through an open auction. So why is it that we're seeing such a massive drop in onion prices all of a sudden?
So there are quite a few reasons for that. But before we get to that, we need to understand the onion cycle. Like every agricultural commodity, onion also has seasons. And in case of onion, there are 3 seasons or 3 types of onion. You have the Kharif, the late Kharif and the Rabi crop. Of course, these depend on when the farmer had transplanted their seedlings and when he harvests. So for Kharif and late Kharif, as the name suggests, these are grown mainly during the rainy or immediately after the rainy season. So at this moment, the market is reporting arrival of Kharif crop. However, what has happened this year is that the temperatures across Maharashtra and across India, by and large, are quite high. We just had a briefing by the IMD officers, the scientists. They said that February was the hottest February India had seen since 1877. Now, one of the important things about onion is we need to understand that onion is a bulb and it grows underground. So there is a lot of moisture in the vegetable as of such. This year, because of the extreme temperature rises, most part of Maharashtra has been reporting 35, 36, 37 degrees centigrade. The onion has started shriveling up, and a shriveled onion is of no use because that will not fetch the farmer any gains. And that is the main reason So this was kind of a distress sell because they had to sell it before it turns bad. It was shriveling up and it is going to reduce in size, and then rotting also will take place in some time. So because of this, there is a huge influx of onion, both Kharif and late Kharif in the market. And the markets go by the fundamental principle of arrival, supply and demand. Supply has outdone demand by quite a few notches, and that's why prices have completely collapsed. And this will continue till the farmers have not been able to offload all their late Kharif product. Now we see two crops arriving at the same time, which should not have happened, and that is the main reason why prices have collapsed.
Right, so clearly weather is a big factor here. Do we know how the weather situation over the next few months will affect onion production in the state?
Now, the IMD has already talked about heat stress in wheat. And the market-ready onion will be one of the other vegetables which is going to be in line to report about heat stress. Now, IMD's press briefing, which talked about a hotter than usual March to May season, that is the summer season is going to be cruel. So we would report a lot of instances of maximum temperature going above the normal range. So for farmers, onion growers, at this moment, there are two main challenges. To stop the quality deterioration in their Kharif and late Kharif, to sell it off before the Kharif and late Kharif turns completely bad in terms of quality, and to take care of their Rabi crop. In Maharashtra and other onion growing states, farmers store their onions, all three crops, on field structures called Kanda Chaul or Kanda storage structures. These are semi-permanent structures which prevents the onion, the bulb from sprouting green shoots, or also prevents them from getting directly exposed to rains or to very strong sunlight. So farmers have kept their onions, the late Kharif one also there. Now when the Rabi crop hits, they will be ready. They will be storing that onion. Now with these kind of temperatures that are being talked about, what would be the quality effect of storage? How long can they store? That would again come into the picture. I mean, after all, these are organic things. Heat shock is something which they have to face. And how things will pan out, but it does look like a very hot and long summer, which is not going to be good for the farmer at the end of the day.
Right. And how has the government stepped in to help these farmers?
So there are two or three main demands of the farmers. One is that government procurement should start. Government through its body, the National Cooperative Agricultural Marketing Federation or NAFED, should start procurement, and it has already started procurement of onions. Secondly, they want the floor price, that's the onion auction, should start with a minimum price of 10 rupees a kg or 1000 rupees a quintal. They want the APMCs to come out with a rule of 1000 rupees a quintal as the minimum price that should be called during auction. And thirdly, they want some kind of compensation for farmers who have sold their crops at not cheap prices. Now, for the first one, I just spoke to some people in Nashik, and they claim the government has talked about procurement of 500 tons. Now, 500 tons for a market like Lasalgaon is nothing, one. Secondly, we are talking about 20% increase in the Rabi acreage also. So we are going to deal with a complete flooding of onions in the market. So how effective the NAFED procurement would be, there would be logistic challenges, there would be challenges in terms of quantity, in terms of quality, in storage and other things. So NAFED's procurement, personally, I do not see it being very effective in the market because we are actually dealing with situation which we had never seen. I mean, everyone is bringing the onion as soon as they are harvesting, which does not happen normally. And that is the reason NAFED's procurement, as of now, I do not see it being very effective. It might be effective post-June when the late Kharif crop has exhausted and it's only the Rabi crop. But then again, we are dealing with more 20% excess of Rabi. And as for compensation, that might be something because next year we do have a lot of elections lined up. So the political compulsion might rule for compensation and other things. But as of such, the situation does not look. If you look at economics, it's almost a gone case.
And in the end, we give you an update on Manish Sisodia. Yesterday, the Supreme Court refused to entertain Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia's plea, which challenged his arrest by the Central Bureau of Investigation in the alleged liquor policy scam. A bench of Chief Justice of India D.Y. Chandrachud and Justice P.S. Narasimha didn't approve of Sisodia approaching the top court directly under Article 32 of the Constitution. They said he could have approached the High Court seeking the same relief. Justice Narasimha said, and I quote, "It will set a very wrong precedent. An incident occurs in Delhi, that does not mean we are approached," unquote. CJI Chandrachud too said that if parties started approaching the top court without exhausting other remedies available to them, then every case will land directly in the Supreme Court. Senior advocate A.M. Singhvi, who is representing Sisodia, urged the top court to ask the trial court to decide the bail plea expeditiously. Solicitor General Tushar Mehta, who was appearing for the CBI, however, opposed the request, saying that the agency will be seeking remand. Additionally, in a surprise move yesterday evening, Sisodia tendered his resignation to Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, who accepted the resignation. Sisodia, who was arrested on Sunday in connection with alleged corruption in the now scrapped excise policy in the national capital, has been sent to 5-day CBI custody by Delhi's Rouse Avenue Court. You were listening to 3 Things by the Indian Express. Today's show was hosted by me, Rahel Philipose, and written and produced by Utsa Sarmin, along with me, Rahel Philipose, and Shashank Bhargava. It was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar. If you like the show, then do share it with someone who you think will like it. Share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at @ExpressPodcast or write to us at podcast@indianexpress.com.